Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Rift Rivals 2019. It is the final once more. I'm Atlas, this is Papa Smithy and Raz. And we're going to take you through what could be another incredible Rift Rivals final. Gentlemen, do you think anything's changed? I mean, LCK were first seeds last time and it didn't quite work out.
I mean, it always ends up in this final. LCK versus LPL. It's got there through two parts. LCK was second seed last year. They were first seed the year before. But every time the LPL took them down, I know people are looking at best of one results and looking at them really closely and thinking this means that Korea is definitely the favorite today. But I think you have to look at the bigger sample size where China, again and again in the last 2 years, really ever since Rift Rivals started, outside of that World Championship performance at the end there by Samsung, it's really been a story of China domination, especially relative to Korea.
And that's what it's all about. It's about that three-peat for the LPL. We want to be able to come out and pick it up. And it feels like the story is about adaptation here. Sure, once again, LCK being implanted into the finals as first place, but throughout the tournament, I mean, you could say LPL teams getting the excuses out of the way about being 2 patches behind. But to their credit, you saw yesterday, even in the last day of group stages where drafts got better, plays got cleaner. Today is going to be going the distance.
Well, let's certainly hope so. Kingzone DragonX will be taking on Invictus Gaming in our first match of this relay race. And of course, the reason why everything's TBD is because we are going to be deciding who's heading in after each match is played. So expect this to be very fluid, to these regions to not know which teams we're playing next until the final result is in. And I think that following exactly what the mindsets are going to be from both sides is going to be very interesting based on results game by game.
And what I'm surprised about, Invictus Gaming coming out first. LPL sending out what seems to be their best shot immediately, because I would have expected, as per usual of the previous events, test the waters first, see what you have to is being thrown at the teams, and then save it for, let's say, a game 2 or game 3.
Is that actually correct, though? Because is Invictus Gaming the best team in the LPL when FPX is at the top at the moment?
Seems like IG didn't have their full 5 players up until this point. So remember, they're also the world champions.
Yep.
They're the only LPL team that took a victory in the group stage against the LCK squad.
I mean, when we were sitting here kind of hypothesizing, I actually had Kingzone as the first team, and you were basically around the other teams there. You thought that they would hold on to IG
FPX
for that winning
Esports,
matchup.
yes.
To me, the decision to play IG, the best team in form at this tournament, even just a small sample size, is a confidence one. I think they really want to get the game 1 victory and try to ride kind of the momentum of that, because IG is the only Chinese team that hasn't been defeated. They didn't play yesterday either, so there is a bit of mystery here. Meanwhile, Kingzone DragonX, they're kind of a blue shell team for me in that recently their form hasn't been great, but that victory over FPX was such a big one.
Well, we're going to have a look at the focal point here for the LPL is going to be the start. Nothing has changed. 3 consecutive finals between the LCK and the LPL, but actually a lot has changed. I mean, we're fielding different teams. No longer is it Doinby with the Rogue Warriors. It's Doinby with FPX.
Yes.
And we've dropped the Afrika Freaks. We've dropped a few teams on the LCK side. And where is RNG? There are so many big names that are no longer here. So I think this story is going to be a very different one.
I think people will be looking back to today's event, this tournament, and honestly be telling the story of young superstars that are starting their career, creating the imprint today. So for LPL, you're right, it's a story about Knight, who we've been hearing multiple times how he's been coming out and smashing solo queue, but been making a real name for himself, starting out in the LPL, but now internationally. And then, of course, you go into other teams, and the LCK has its same points.
Yes.
And I started my casting career casting LMS versus LCK versus LPL before there even was entire domestic leagues, back in the Gigabyte Star Wars League.
Oh, yeah.
Right after TPA had won Worlds. The regional battle, the regional banter, it's always been there. So it's transcended names. Yes, a lot of them have been around for most of it, but Faker wasn't there back then. That was the old SK Telecom, with Reaper as the main star. So there's been a lot of different teams have been plugged and played. The regional rivalry stays the same. You're right, though, in that the LCK is having a debutant ball for teams like Dumb One Gaming, for even Kingzone, who have Deft and Tucson and then some players trying to find some relevance. We have Neon, who's
Exactly.
becoming one of our stars kind of in the later parts of his career. He's not an old player by any means, but he's 23, right? Not a 17-year-old. So he's been around the block, been in Europe, and now he's actually performing on Kingzone in a way we could never have expected.
And everyone has wanted to see Griffin on the international stage. So far, 2-0, but that's the group stage, and this is where it all counts. We'll see when they're actually going to be playing, as this is going to be the LCK highlight straight to the finals. We will be the champion in 2019. But they've still got to get through the LPL here, Raz, and this is going to be a tough one.
This was the most beautiful moment, of course, when SKT went up against Invictus Gaming, and it was Faker. You know, the god of the old, you would say. I know this tournament, I've been talking about the new players rising up, but it's still a tournament of Faker and Rookie. People you want to be able to topple if you want to make your name.
And if we're going to have Faker versus Rookie 1 last time, it will have to be the final because IG play in game number 1, and all teams must show themselves one time before they can play for a second time. I actually think if we go to 5, it'll be Griffin IG, and Faker and Rookie will be denied that reunion. But for the LCK, 7-1, the only game lost was the most hype game, that final game of the group stage. They would have watched on yesterday as well. The LCK's had one more day to prep and discuss strategies for today.
Yeah, we'll see how that is going to pay off as well, because I think a lot of these young gun teams are going to be so hungry. I think game 1 is going to be super important here because we have Griffin to put in, we have Damwon Gaming to put in that are so eager to prove themselves on this rift.
We do feel like they are kind of two different sides of the coin, though. For Griffin, you do give them the credit of being cool, calm, and collected, even though in those big matches in the past they have had some issues. Choking has been used against them. Meanwhile, Damwon, they really could be anything. They could beat anyone, but they're also a resource you want to hold probably till game 3 or 4.
Yeah, and honestly, if you ask any of the players, interviews have come out from the LPL teams, they all want to play after their defeat. You know, rather than Invictus Gaming, who got those 2 victories, it was FPX that says that they want to go up against Kingzone. Not going to be happening until potentially the final games, but take a look at the players in front of you. Def versus Jackie Love.
This is a huge one, and this is revenge. You mentioned world champions in 2018, Raz. Deft fell at the hands of Jackie Love in that semi-final. This is revenge right now.
And it also adjusted Deft's career narrative, because if you ignore that one quarterfinal, he has dunked Chinese 80 carries year after year. When he played in the LPL, he was also in that role. And if you look back at Rift Rivals last year, KT Rolster were undefeated in that tournament, and people were screaming for them to be the team to face RNG in the final 5th game. Ended up being a Freak of Freaks, didn't go the way of the LCK that day. But it's a matchup that Deft looks at, and you're right, he's got something to prove, even though that's usually a playing ground that has been so big for him.
And also, I mean, he's got Tucson next to him, and Tucson also suffered at the hands of Rift Rivals last year. The hangover was super real for the Freak of Freaks, and now they're banded together. They've also got Cousin Rascal there, and we all remember Kingzone. I mean, this feels like Rift Rivals revenge in a team for Kingzone.
Plus the last day of Rift Rivals has not been...
that's a big yikes.
You're
That's
outnumbered
a big
here. We're big boys, all right, Raz.
Yeah, we can take your banner. It's okay.
There's still breaks between the games, and it might become a duo cast.
Look,
if you're...
we'll take your Kingzone tiers and then offer a few contracts to the players after it's all said and done.
I think after one game against your best team, I think we're still going to be feeling okay for this best of 5
speak for yourself, man.
You're not. Are you going to be feeling okay, Papa Smithy?
I got my fists ready to go today. We're fighting. We're fighting.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see what is going to happen after this series. I'm looking forward to seeing Rookie versus Neon in the mid lane, because Neon has been one of our biggest stars here. But we're going to hear from Rookie first and Deft in this interview.
성적이 조금 떨어지는 감이 있어서 걱정을 많이 했는데 저희 역할을 잘 해낸 것 같아서 좋은 것 같아요. 저희가 어떤 팀이랑 붙든 무조건 승리를 거둬서 한국팀에 도움이 되도록 하겠습니다.
내일 할 때 그래도 좋은 경기로 저희랑 게임을 해주셨으면 좋을 것 같고, 누가 지든 이기든 그냥 약간 플레이는 좀 재밌게 해야 된다고 생각하는 저는 그런 주의거든요. 그래서 같이 더 재밌는 게임 했으면 좋겠어요.
Two players that have worn KT banners before, but at very different times, now facing off in different lanes, but on the same rift. Very exciting to see Deft versus Rookie, an age apart, it feels.
KT's 2 titles, the Arrows in 2014 and then Deft and Mata in 2018. How things change. But The battle between the LPL and the LCK will never end. We'll start with the LCK. It's Kingzone, DragonX, Rascal, Cuz, Neon, Deft, and Tucson. No nominal sub. Hero, one of their coaches, just filling in because they are a true 5-man unit with Porn's medical issues ruling him out of competition.
Yeah, so much discipline in the team after they got their huge early game lead going up against FPX. So they're going to be smiling with purpose this time around, not just the usual typical Nehun smile. But the draft won't be as favorable to them this time round going up against Invictus
We'll
Gaming.
explain that more when we get into pick and ban. They did choose blue side. That's an important thing to talk about. Games 1, 3, and 5. LCK have side selection. 2 and 4, they do not. That will also come into the consideration when should we send in this team or not. It might be based on win-loss, but who is more comfortable being on the red side? Because you do assume, unlike yesterday, most of these teams will be choosing blue side when they have the selection.
Especially over on the LCK side. We have been more successful on the blue side so far this tournament, and I know, Raz, you've told me that the LPL loves its counter pick.
Yeah.
And I think FPX is probably going to be coming in when you have side selection over on the LPL side.
That's the thing. When it comes to the LPL, one of the only regions that has red side being the higher win rate and FPX and IG. But taking a look at this one, the Shy is starting today. So the Shy in the top lane, Ning in the jungle, Rookie coming into the mid lane, in the bottom lane, Jackie Love and Baolan.
There's times to run Duke, but in a matchup like this where Rascal has been shaky in recent form, red side, you're almost guaranteed, even before they saw the nameplates, they knew they'd be on red side. Save that last pick for the Shy and run over Rascal. Seems like a really obvious win condition that Kingzone will have to try to subvert, and IG will be trying to amp up.
We have to remember, though, that Rascal had a great performance up against FPX. He hasn't actually died so far in this tournament. If Rascal can hold his form, and this is a huge ask.
Yes.
I'm not saying no to that one. This is a huge ask. But if he can, then that could mean that Kingzone can run over the top because you have to have your money on Deft and Tucson in this matchup.
It's going to be something we return to draw. That is one of the key matchups for this one. Star-studded around the Rift. What are you looking for, Raz? What are you looking for on the side of IG? Because they are 2-0, and
yes,
yet you don't have the full picture of them because it's only those 2 games with the MSI roster.
But for me, it feels like this is the hungriest this team will ever be. Because ever since winning that World Championship, for them, you know, being able to come back together, going to MSI, that humongous loss to, of course, Team Liquid in the semifinals, then coming back from that point, not really gelling, not having the players all formed up. The starting roster really couldn't come out until this event, so everyone has something to prove here.
It does feel like one season might be on the ascent with a victory here, and another season might be derailed. There might be another hangover after Rift Rivals for the loser of this game, especially if they don't get a chance to prove themselves later. Sounds like we're a couple of minutes away from pick and ban. So many stories, big and small, between these two teams, so much business to attend to, and then there's just the best of 5 on the day where momentum can be so key.
The camera earlier focused on Jackie Love. That player, I know we were giving him a big focus of the AD carry between both these teams, but he grew so much since his rookie year. Now he seems to have such a large voice, and on top of that, has just such a large presence within the game, not easily perturbed or intimidated in coming into this.
And I think the best kind of corollary to him is Neon, who we were looking on before. This guy was literally the water boy of Kingzone in spring season. He'd be the first guy out smiling after a victory, but you knew he wasn't really going to play. And if he was playing Lulu, putting some wild growths on Deft and hoping for the best. That was how they won in the spring season. In summer, he has been the most buff water boy I've ever seen. He's upgraded. He's now a star of the team. Now, it's against Rookie, so it's a tough ask, but Neon needs to at least be able to stave off Rookie, because Rookie's looked pretty hot on his return to the stage.
He put that water in a bucket, Papa Smithy, and now he's just cleaning people up with a broom. It's the Emperor's Divide, man. It's been so good, but here we are, into the draft for game number 1. Kingzone on our blue side and Invictus Gaming on the red. The first ban going to be that Nico. The Shy's press the attack Nico was very impressive in the game against SKT.
And I was speaking to Donjun, one of the Korean casters, and the key pick he said for me in this draft was Nico. He expected to be first picked by Kingzone, mostly because it's a champion that the Shy has shown dominance on. It's one of Neon's go-to. There's 4, maybe even 6 players on the Rift right now that could confidently pick up the Nico. Kingzone say they don't want it. They're on blue side. They were sent in first. What is their blue side strategy when you feel like counterpick for either the Shy or Rookie could be devastating against the much less experienced Neon and Rascal?
And the bans are coming through so fast. The Nico followed by the Lux and Silas on Kingzone side. IG, just get rid of the OPs. The Yuumi, the Karma, and the Sejuani. It's just high priority, but the Tahm Kench does sneak through.
But now, if it's LCK, you say, of course the Sona's being considered to pile on with that Tahm Kench, and yet this is the team that pre-16 minutes dominated that combo. Remember, SKT, we'll never forget that one.
I don't want to, Papa Smithy.
And take a look at that. Kai'Sa being locked in immediately. We're talking about Jackie Love as a player. And so when we're talking about team fights, Invictus game, pure focus on how he positions just up against SKT last we saw him was styling.
But do you do it? Do you lock in the Sona? It's Deft and Tucson. It's arguably your best players, arguably the best duo lane in Korea. My first thought is no. Let's see what the decision is, though. This might actually be deprioritize bot lane and free up Cuz to play around the top side, because you ain't picking Tahm Kench Ezreal to win lane.
Absolutely not. It is going to be the lock-in as the clock ticks down to 0. Neon now with the final pick in the first round for Kingzone DragonX. See whether they pick something against the Aatrox, but the flexibility of that champion makes it very difficult. It's still a blind solo lane. As,
don't even think about
it. The crowd isn't even believing this one, guys. Don't worry about it.
I like it, though. Just a bit of a shout-out to playing Riven into the Shy. That sounds fun.
Just remember that the Aatrox itself is a great flex pick. Into the jungle is what I'm thinking of. So don't get baited, Kingzone. You don't want to believe that it's going to go top lane.
Now, this is probably going to be Roscoe's attempt to answer it if it does go top lane. Camille has been very high priority for the LCK team so far this tournament. But like Raz is saying, it's effectively a blind pick because Aatrox can comfortably be piloted anywhere on the top side. Finding Rascal and Cuz a duo that works together, because these duo has actually kind of played together. They've subbed in last year when they weren't the starters, and they've generally played together. They have a good understanding. Finding a lead there can be big. So Kai'Sa Braum, super standard. Seems like all the actions happen in topside, guys, because bot lane's just farming.
Yeah, we're not really investing into that one as the bans are coming in. The Gragas going to be taken away from Cuz. Definitely one of his best performing champions. And the Fiora taken away from the Shy. He needs a bit of focus, this man. I hear he's pretty good, Raz.
Yeah. One great thing about Invictus Gaming is, you know, the triple, I suppose, quadra threat with Ning wants to go towards, let's say, a Kindred or a Lee Sin, but it's the Shy that you have to focus on. He's the player that you do have to have a lot of fear about. When we talk about Nico, press the attack Nico, just a split-pushing type of champion, so Fiora makes a lot of sense as a ban.
It also is a coverage ban for Camille top, so that's another thing to remember here. We've had Camille jungle, we've had Camille mid. The top lane is the most played role. Vladimir going to be taken out. Does seem like we're team fighting, guys, from the identities so far. IG, you'd think they want to hold on to one of their solo lane picks for a last pick for the shot.
Yeah. I'm looking over the side of Kingzone, though, and you're mentioning the flexibility of the Camille. I think that out of our LCK teams, I trust Kingzone the most with Camille jungle. I think Cuz was one of our best performing Camille jungles.
But do you ever dare Camille jungle into a true madman? Ning is an insane player
that is true.
When it comes to his pathing, and it's very bold. Azir going to be taken as a blind mid laner. That part is understandable. If you're going matchup, Korea loves the Corki into it. Right now being hovered for Death's pick.
Yeah, 10 seconds to go until that one will be locked in. Rookie certainly with a power pick here. Scaling is certainly something that we can talk about for IG. Aatrox as well as the Kai'Sa and the Azir will mean that late game can be scary. Corki for a bit of scaling option, as well as Ezreal alongside him. Some power spikes can line up there as Cuz goes back to his favorite. That is going to be the Karthus. He's won 2 out of his 3 games in the LCK, and he loves picking this champion.
Jungle counter pick is now going to be the challenge for Ning, but to see Karthus in Kingzone side, haven't seen that much at all in the LPL. I'm really interested to see what Ning's counter pick going to be.
It's burst into relevance in the LCK even after Nerves trying to make it happen. I think Aatrox jungle is going to be the call here. The reason why I say that is Karthus against the W, the chains, right? He usually has to flash out of it. It's a very slow jungler when it comes to just walking around, his actual movement speed. So it is a good combat matchup for the Aatrox. This is super bold. It's not quite Sona Tahm levels of passivity, but the Karthus, yes, you can skirmish with it, but if it's not on your terms, you're going to that death chamber even more than you would like.
This is what I'm concerned about with Kingzone's draft. There's not a lot of skirmish. In fact, there is almost no skirmish on the side of their end. You'd look towards Camille to be the one who starts these fights, but if it doesn't happen, Invictus Gaming, especially on the top lane 2v2, is just going to dominate. So I'm a big fan of Invictus Gaming's early portions of the game. If it goes too long, Azir's wave clear is what's going to be backing them up.
Cuz is going to have one side of the map to play on. It seems like everyone is packing up and going top lane, and maybe even some unsealed spellbook teleports to join it. But guys, intriguing draft. The Karthus, the most bold choice to me. Another blue side Kingzone strat after the top lane cleared earlier this tournament.
Yep, coaches are going to shake hands. Game number 1 is upon us as we check out the picks here. Rascal versus the Shy. You guys have illustrated this, but this matchup looks so important for this game in particular. Kingzone's draft is an interesting one, but when you say interesting, it can go either way. And IG just have so much bridging tools. They've got so much control when it comes to team fight. This is a very standard comp, and Kingzone's going to have to really understand how to pilot their weird one this game.
Yeah, so I want to see what Kingzone can do with it. Invictus Gaming's got a bridge from early game, mid game, late game. It's a great amount of balance as we see it.
Well, here we are. Game number 1, Kingzone versus IG Rift Rivals 2019. All right, here we are. Fans have, I think, managed to get their calls out. It's all a little bit confusing here as the...
We're looking around. It's about 95% full here, Atlas.
Yeah, it's really full. You may have been watching the opening ceremony still. A lot of people filtering through, and now you can barely see any empty seats. And I'm very excited to see how this is going to go as we move forward. Anything interesting with the runes, gentlemen?
First sighting I'm seeing, Rookie going Electrocute. Obviously, you're very freed up. There was a lot of people talking about this matchup. Nayeon did very well in the reverse matchup against FBX on the first day. Electrocute's about keeping your health bar higher with burst trades. They've already got a lane top lane that slams 1v1. Renekton over Camille early trades, very, very dominant. So they're trying to have control over top side, and if you're winning health trades in mid and you have a counter pick in top, how's Karthus going to be farming is a question that's going to evolve. We're going to have to watch to see if Cuz can either shadow or go for a crazy sort of Karthus play that we see from time to time.
Well, speaking of his Karthus play, no deep wards have actually spotted him out just yet, which is great news for the Karthus player. On top side of the map, though, it is going to be mirrored starts here on Ning's side with Red into the Krugs. Try and get that level 3 as quickly as possible on both sides of the jungle.
Yeah, great defensive ward, specifically from Rascal, just in case Aatrox tries for anything special. It's the cheese gank up top lane and get the Shy rolling. I want to see what ends up happening topside and if Aatrox could fully commit so he goes and gets a vertical jungling across.
And I want to hear your thoughts on this, Raz, but I look at the Kingzone draft. For IG, it's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Some very strong lanes, Electrocute to try to reinforce what can be a scaling lane for the Corki. You're right in that I look at IG and I think pretty straightforward how they want to play. The bridging is clear. For Kingzone, you understand what them winning looks like, but the path to get there, I feel like it's a lot of asterisks. There's things that could happen that would put them into, say, the mid-game with a Camille somehow getting an item lead on a Renekton and then sieging with Ezreal, Tahm Kench, Corki is super safe. I get that, but I'm with you in that getting there requires some of those natural bridges, and we always talk about a comp that goes from early to mid to late cleanly. Feels like Kingzone want to blow up those bridges, want to come up with some creative plays, because if it just goes as it is on paper, it's the sort of draft where if the fans say, wow, lost at draft, you could actually point to this one and say, I can kind of see what you're saying.
Yeah, especially if this early game goes poorly for Rascal, because I think that as soon as the Renekton gets ahead in this lane, I mean, what is Kingzone's way of getting back in to the game if top lane is just completely destroyed?
Funny enough, it's not going to be something that people are happy to hear, but farming up. 3 items, if you look at the range advantage, just outright from Cuz, Nehun, Dep as the game goes longer and they have items underneath them, if they can just stave off the pressure, then I love what Kingzone has to offer later on.
And I think there's also a window earlier than people might expect, around, say, 10, 11 minutes, where if Karthus just farms and we never say his name, you always look at the numbers and you're like, wow, that's a lot of creeps. You can power farm and get 6 quickly, and then it's too soon. He'll take Unsealed Spellbook on any champion in support. They have 4 people with teleport and a Karthus with ult, there's a real chance you see something, you pack up, you teleport, and you make a big play. However, if IG get going early, then those TPs are reactive, and those plays aren't possible.
And that's the thing with Kingzone. These teleports, just to be able to defend from dives, to stop Ning's early pressure, that's what it's all about. They want to be able to stop the early pressure, have longer lanes so they can get there.
And if we clap our hands, literally everyone except Baolan, as long as the junglers around, can pack up and be somewhere. And that means, Atlas, you're going to have to be ready for potentially some real interesting trades.
Don't worry, Papa, I am on my toes. Don't you worry about that one. The Shy charging up this rage here, top side of the map. You can see Rascal's actually having a pretty good time of it, but I have a feeling that this is the Shy just charging up his batteries.
Take a look at the wave here. It's actually, yeah, sure, going for the Shy, but the Shy's going to be able to hold the wave. There is no vision that's there defensively. It expired, so Rascal is in a pretty precarious position with Aatrox nearby.
And there's a lot of gameplay happening in the moment that we had on screen, but it doesn't look like it, right? Why is Camille taking a free trade? It's because what happens usually in pro games when you see a grouped up minion wave means someone's coming to dive you. That's the thing that's happening there. And if Camille is doing that, tanking free damage from a Renekton, the Shy is saying, holy crap, the jungler must be here, otherwise why is he taking that trade? It's one of those next level things. I realize also, in Bronze, it's a very different thing.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a change-up. Because about half health now as he's been hoovering up the jungle, actually ahead by quite a few camps here, I think to the tune of almost 3. As Neon is taking a lot of damage here in this lane. You mentioned the electrocute. You can see it there, just going off. Rookie able to get these short trades and really put the hurt onto this Corki.
And this is the story for Invictus Gaming when you have Rookie, JackeyLove, the Shy, all as your laners. You just have, of course, the draft helps, but just passive leads within the lane. And Rookie, when he's able to have these matchups like this, yeah, Ning could just walk right by because he has confidence that Ning, Rookie, will get this damage across. Watch out, Nahun. You are in dive range.
Yeah, this is a real problem. Ning is in the area, but not actually looking for any dives just yet. Neon misses a cannon creep. Wow. It is all over right now.
He's just trying to hold it strong. Remember, Karthus getting free level 6 before action happens is big. How far is he from 6? Hard to know. Seeing more trades happen. Neon's just trying to hold the line. He wants to stay in lane till 8 minutes, but expect Ning to make a visit pre-8 minutes. By the way, 8 minutes, that package spawn timing.
Yeah, decent stun here from Rascal. Level 5 for the Shy, level 6 there for Rascal already, but this Mountain Drake is actually gigantic for IG, both denying it from Kingzone and picking it up themselves.
Yeah, this is an element of the game that not often discussed, but the RNG factor. If they can get this dragon, if it turns to another Infernal or a Mountain Dragon, then certainly it speeds up the game and is the worst case scenario for Kingzone.
And honestly, IG have a draft where if they rotate winning Azir or winning Renekton, then you're expecting them to pick up early objectives. You have to kind of pick your battles because going to use this time to get some warning. But like you say, that was actually close for comfort.
Yeah, went to 79 health. If that Tongue Lash was on point from Tucson, that would have been a free Mountain Drake, thanks to the leash IG. Not to be the case, though, and IG lock it down as they should have.
You got to be more disciplined about those moments. I've been, my days in my career seeing a Morgana pull, Steel Dragon, just the most ridiculous.
I've seen a Gleaming Quill Steel Baron.
Sad.
Yeah.
And I've seen IG lose to just the most random teams in the LPL, right? That's what happens with them. But the reason why I bring that up isn't actually to put in a jab, but when they do meet these teams, the LCK teams in particular, isn't it interesting how they slide into what ends up being the lower kill, kind of slower style games just fine? That was our surprise at Worlds last year. IG was the last team you expected to be able to hang on, say, against KT Rolster in a 5-game series. But they were so good at just saying, all right, call your jets, choose your moments, and that's why IG are the world champions.
That's what makes them so fascinating to watch because, I mean, the whole happy game meme during MSI, regular season to your point as well, they play to their opponents until it's time to just go for it. Until it's playoff time and they sense something, like taste some blood in the water.
Well, speaking of tasting blood, JackeyLove got very upset with that True Shot Barrage that just trashed both him and Baolan. Ning's up towards the top side, level 6 available for him. Rascal under this turret as Rookie is roaming up as well. Cuz in a great position right now as Rascal will break the chains and gets himself out. No first blood just yet unless Rookie is going to find him from behind the wall. Oh no!
Vision.
Just outside of Vision!
Oh,
unbelievable.
Rookie.
All right, thank you, Vision Gods.
He's going to look at this VOD and he'll be tilted immediately after this game.
Good news, he might not have to play again today. So
yeah, let's hope so. If you're an LPL fan, definitely hope for
and
that.
look at the bot lane here. A recall timing seems to be working out on this one. TP back in. They're going to get some turret plates. Looks like IG had stepped away there, and Kingzone get 2 turret plates. A nice little bit of oomph.
This is just the wound. Crowd's going wild too early.
And the thing that's really scary right now is that Deft is moving towards that 2-item power spike that we talk about on the Ezreal, and he's probably the most aggressive Ezreal that we have in the LCK when he gets to those 2 items. We talk about basically Teddy and Deft when it comes to Ezreal, but Teddy plays a little bit slower, actually, when it comes to the mid-game. Deft kills people. That's what he does. And that, I think, will work very well here against IG that want to play a little bit more slowly, especially from that bottom side.
He is one of those legendary Ezreal players as well. I remember when I did my first Riot event, well, it's 2016, we had Bang, Prey, and Deft at the event, and they were kind of the gods of Ezreal in kind of history. And like Teddy joins that name and things like that as well. Deft is, you know, 2012, 2013 debutant whose first AD carry was the Ezreal. He identifies it as his most favorite champion in his career. It's the older players who started with Ashe, and you kind of see the different tendencies, right? If it's Deft era, you're all about dodging those skill shots. If it's Prey era, you're all about hitting those Ashe arrows.
Yeah, and it's all about archery.
Exactly. And for me, as the game goes on, you get your items. A lot of it comes down to skill expression. What's more impressive and what gets your, skill out there than the Corki, the Ezreal, and of course the Camille as well alongside Kingzone.
And what is it about Ezreal? It gets his core items early, especially with the turret plates and the Kleptomancy. So using that to their advantage, sending this Ezreal Tom mid lane early, whether they break the turret or not. There's no 10-minute Rift Herald rotation in this one. TP's on cooldown from the bot laners.
I was a bit sad, that Kingzone, after getting turret plating bot side fully shoved in, they didn't rotate up top lane, not only because Rascal was having a small, difficult time up in that matchup.
Speaking of,
yeah, there's the wall of pain. True Shot Barrage, a lot of damage onto Bellend. Can they actually get the first blood here, though, is the question. Flash under the turret, and he will be okay. Deft tries to find the Q, does get it, but not enough damage. But now, the Requiem Bellend goes into the stopwatch. Not going to be taken down now, but a broken clock is bad news for bottom lane.
58 seconds past the point in which it was available. If it happened a minute earlier, maybe you would have been able to get that kill.
Rascal has been so smart this game, checking for Ning, understanding that he's going to be there, but it may not be enough as he's now looking for his way out. Hextech ultimatum to try and dodge that knockup. The hookshot's not enough, and first blood all too easy over to the Shy.
Finally, it seems like Invictus Gaming getting it rolling early in this game.
Splitting the map there with the 2 teams, but it seemed like Rascal got the bad news too late. No stopwatch, no flash. He should have disengaged from the turret earlier, but the moment he saw the Aatrox, he felt curtailed and tried to find safety in turret. Not against Renekton. LPL teams know all about that.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a worry there as well because the hookshot timing I felt was really weird out from this Camille.
Okay.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, that's a lot of turret plates, and Cuz looking for the wall gank on mostly the minion.
No, actually Cuz was stopping him just from being reverse dived, I think, in that case. So I think it was a safety Cuz overall. They keep the turret up, but that's the most you can say from that TP, and the Shy has a TP advantage now that he could wield.
And also a BF sword and another long sword under there as well. He's got a lot of damage potential up against just the Phage.
It's the hard dunking build, right? It's the TFT Nightmare. Spear Shojin going to be the early item pickup here from the Shy to try to dunk Camille harder in lane.
Well, you can see turret plates are actually pretty even, top versus bottom. 5 still standing on the top side for the Shy, but down to just 1. Bottom side of the map is still. We've got a minute and a half until those plates fall down.
Perfect timing, Jacula finally being able to get his base off as his teleport comes back online so he can TP back and protect, or just go for a flank.
Yeah, big teleport coming in here as Bellend nails the ultimate onto Deft. After the flash, Jackulov makes his way in as Tucson will be the sacrificial catfish, wanting to go for a potential fat flash, but not going to get there. So he's just going to fall.
We called out the TP advantage for the Shy. The reason why this was a super smart move is that IG went over to the Rift Herald. You saw a Kingzone ping on it. They assumed the Rift Herald was being done. No. They packed up and went straight into an aggressive bot side gank. You never see plays like this in the LCK, but a vision fake meant that Tahm Kench walked up more confidently, and that's why they profit with another kill and more immediate gold for IG.
And also, this just benefits the composition of IG so much, right? Slowly and steadily gaining advantages around this map, and it's in the neutrals as well. True Shot Barrage will do some damage, but IG straight up don't care about this because they've now got a monopoly on the Drakes, and they're moving towards that late game team fight that they're just confident in anyway.
It's just great to be able to see that, IG still bearing their fangs on this one. Being able to find moments where I thought they were going to play defensively to defend that bot side turret. Looked for the play. Great teleport flank forward to be able to make it happen. Oh, take a look at this, though.
Yep, the Shy holding onto the Dominus. You can see Prox the Conqueror, and Rascal wants nothing to do with it. He has taken Grasp of the Undying. That's more of a safety rune, not a battle rune here from the Camille. We'll have a lot of scaling options as we move. Like, if you pit them against each other, 6 items each, you're probably feeling good about the Camille, but are we going to get to that point is the question that we have for Kingzone.
Well, let's look at one thing. The gold here is very honest. Despite the fact the LPL have got the 2 kills, Kingzone are going to get 2 items and try to make something happen there. And they are almost even in gold, which is a good sign because the LPL have made some really nice moves in the early game.
And now I guess we do get to put Deft into the mid lane. You do set up that very safe Ezreal Tahm Kench, unless Tucson is going to face check here. A lot of damage coming through. Package delivered from Neon. We're going for it right now as Ning has to Umbral Dash to get over that wall. That's a great knock up to deny as the ultimate flies in from the Karthus. Lots of damage, 1-for-1. Is the kill score so far, but Ning wants that reset. The flash, not enough. Deft with so much damage, but Jackie Love is going to draw that blood. And now Ning goes into the World Ender and will survive, cause wishing he still had the Requiem.
Multiple battles happening at the same time, but for me it was the 1v1 where Jackie Love was able to nail Naehyun and flash at the exact same time as the ultimate from Corki came out.
And that outplay was possible.
Whoa, Rookie! He's going to go down to Deft though. Tucson goes into his stopwatch. The Shy wants to find it underneath the turret. Can it be the double kill? No, Deft able to create the space. Too easy. Double kill for the LPL Slayer.
And they needed to come back like that and make a big play. Jackie Love looking for the kill here. Won't receive it. We're going to have an extended 2-pronged replay as the LPL almost got everything done at once.
Oh, but this is the start we wanted, gentlemen. Let's check out that team fight once again.
So we talked about how Kingzone had certain timings they could try to subvert and get in there and use the Requiem to clean up a kill. You have to go so deep here, and damage is dropped from the first Q, and Rascal, yes, gets the trade kill, but it's the support to make this happen. Watch Jackie Love on the top side, gets the outplay on Neon, while Rookie was initially chunked out of the fight.
Most key moment for me, along with that, was just the kill being able to be picked up and allowing the reset for, of course, the Aatrox to fully commit to the fight.
Rookie dives in, gets Tahm Kench, but the stasis initially and dies due to Deft on the back end. And
so
remember
close.
Those gods of Ezreal, they seem to hit all those Mystic shots that you and I fail. Gets the kill onto the Renekton, and here's the Kingzone customer.
Yeah, very happy faces. You can see Akon in the middle there. Also, one of our LPL veterans here in the LCK, as Deft versus Jackie Love is exactly the key matchup that we illustrated earlier, and it's feeling pretty good.
Jackie Love's 3-0, Deft 2-0-1. It's still 1,300 gold because of turret plates and kleptomancy.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether Deft is going to be able to hold on to that lead, at least as far as that passive gold is concerned. Battleland trying to get some vision around this area as Rift Herald is still alive for another 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, pivoting for it. No one wants to start it, recognizing that, honestly, there's just so much power amongst both teams. They were trying for it. IG was pressing vision for it, but Naehyun had his package to be able to go for that fight.
Whoa, I just want to alert you guys towards the items. As there's a pretty cool book that Cuz has just picked up from the library, and I just don't know whether there's enough pages in it to make it worth it right now.
Now, I don't know if everyone remembers this, but they used to actually write the history of the books in the book before we had computers.
Right, okay, so we're jotting it down.
This is one that Cuz has taken out early many times. He loves to rush Medjais, which seems super risky on a champion that has a passive around dying, but it's a Cuz playstyle that we kind of shake our heads at, either fondly or questioningly, depending on how he's going.
Yeah.
I think it's fitting, you know, for the LCK, much like the history books, and how many times he's going to be dying. He's going to just be ripping out pages.
Yeah,
Don't want to remember this.
There aren't even any pages in there right now as Ning and Rookie get tagged. Teleport coming in. Kingzone, they want this team fight. It is going to be Shelly falling down, but can Kingzone actually find any fights that they want? Neon, I don't think he has the package right now as Wall of Pain doesn't get any work done. Umbral Dash and Shifting Sands get both Ning and Rookie out of that pit.
Kingzone could have actually just been spending their times doing this. They had a wave up mid lane. Now IG has a chance to be able to defend. Nice Wall of Pain though.
Yeah, well, Ning's actually looking for these.
Wait,
But Death just straight up murders him! That's what happens if you hit all of your skill shots. Death Ezra just does more damage, guys. This Rascal now looking for a potential flank. This tower will be falling down. And do they have them exactly where they want them? Yes, we do! Requiem comes in, some more health bars, but the Shy has been activated. Neon able to get himself out of there as Cuz grabs himself the next kill. Kingzone, ruthless on the Rift today.
No comment on what
True
happened.
shot
No!
Raz, it's okay. I'll pull yourself together, man.
No comment on Ning's death, but the rest of it was pretty flashy.
But what did you take away there, guys? It's a point that Raz brought up in Champ Select, the range advantages on the side of Kingzone. Ning just took way more ranged free damage from 1,000 units than he ever expected and died, and that's why things fell into place, because otherwise this turret dies too risky. Consider yourself from Ning's perspective. Obviously, you want to try to zone people away from killing the turret. He Qs in once, Qs in twice, and is dead.
Yeah, well, look at Cuz. He actually just backs away, tanks a turret shot here, walks behind a wall, and he will just be able to press this button. And right now, you can see him just jotting down notes in his notebook as this comes down from the sky.
And as soon as he has to be on point, you don't have a Taric ultimate stay alive as Camille. But IG, with the use of the Emperor's Divide, were able to fight back.
Nice focus from specifically the Shy being able to double down on what the Azir Soldier were starting auto attack. And one thing that I need to be able to see or just kind of recognize is that the Wall of Pain is doing a lot of work for the poke damage that they have here. Just allowing them to get the free damage across. Battleland took a lot of damage then. Same here now.
Def, that was
Wow,
blind.
please stop.
He's just looking for it. Can he actually find the kill?
Finally.
1 versus 2. He missed one. Yeah, he missed one, guys. Don't worry. He's a human.
And I gotta say, when it comes to these legends, and remember in Korea, we've had SKT and KT down the bottom during the regular season. Any player who has a domestic reputation, but then ups their level of play internationally, you write songs about. Def's one of those players. This rookie's gonna slide in. But isn't it amazing how when Def goes international, he's even better than he is domestically?
Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying as Rookie taking a lot of damage. Def is here, but it's a good knock-up from Ning. Infernal Chains do register, but Rookie should be falling here. Last auto from Neon. They juggle the turret aggro nicely. And now Def, 1 versus 3. I think he bit off more than he could chew that time.
Shakulov?
That's getting a little bit overexcited as Shakulov gets slowed down. Rascal's there. Neon with the damage. And Rascal's even able to escape. Ning now with 400 health has to get the hell out of there. And despite picking up Def, Kingzone's still looking good.
They got so much range damage, they can keep going. Their mobility of the Ezreal wasn't able to be on display there, but nice play. Speaking of
Rascal's
mobility,
found Ning. See you later, buddy. I have a feeling we're just waiting for an E-proc and we are. There we go. No more Aatrox and now no more Battleland. The Shy falls down as well. The crowd is erupting as Kingzone 10 kills to 7.
Kingzone are relentless. They're so aggressively playing on Vision. They're trying to turn it into a 22-minute Baron. This is bold. Rookie's TP is up.
Just a full ace off that entire fight. You even saw Tom Kent trying to channel his ultimate, thinking that they can go further, but had to play it slow and cleared them out.
Well, this Baron is getting melted. Cuz does so much damage. 16 stacks on the damn Magi's. Voidseeker finds nothing, and let's have a look at this replay. Def definitely plays a little bit overly excited.
But this is the Kingzone that we were calling the best team in Korea at the start of summer. The thing that separates them from other teams is their level of aggression, but general smarts around macro. Yes, Def goes super deep, and you think, all right, it's all over here, but they've got the micro mechanics. Rascal, one of the young'uns, coming back and making smart moves, but remember what the resting state of the map is. It is Kingzone controlled with all their forward vision, and these picks and the eventual Baron are possible because of both their ruthless aggression and the vision they had already laid down.
And these fights are just happening, being forced because of Rascal. Rascal this game has been a god.
Yep, it's just ridiculous. We got a needlessly large rod picked up for Cuz. He's got so much AP. 16 stacks on the book.
Good news, I caught a name of this book. It says Art of War on the front.
All right.
And he seems to be reading. It's a page turner, it turns out.
I feel like he's learning a lot.
He needs to stop reading
so far
it.
today. Is that out? Is that not in your library, Rams? You can get that one here. Don't worry. It's absolutely fine. Trinity Force is now completed for Rascal. Looks like he's going to be putting himself together some defensive items after this. Titanic Hydra could be the option as Ning is spotted in a turret, is destroyed. We're raising bottom side as well as now Rascal is feeling himself here in this 1v1 matchup against the Shy. I feel like the scaling has started so much earlier than it should have this game.
And the Baron buff minions means that even Renekton's ability to dunk 1v1 is nowhere near what it was before.
Oh my
the
God.
Trinity Force autos are nice and big. The Shy is kind of caught in no man's land. He can't do what he wants to do. Wouldn't have killed, but right now, Renekton can't dominate. And what does Renekton do when the lane is no longer his friend?
Yeah,
Honestly,
that's the thing that's really scary, man.
I'm just focusing on Azir right now. He's going straight forward, but he needs to be doing more. I'm talking about the Azir sec, the ultimate to be able to start the fight. They need that sweep if they want to get the engage on their terms.
And what does Rookie do? He wins team fights by himself. This definitely is not over, as you can see. The damage dealt is all about Rookie on IG's side, but Deft has done, a fair bit.
You can add a lot of people on IG's
Oh
side.
my God, Rookie already down to half health. Void Seeker does find the target, but not the target that Jackie Love wants. Look at these health bars, they're so low. One more auto attack from Deft should be able to do it with that E-Proc. As there's the Requiem. Look at the damage. He's just harvesting IG right now.
And he's just zoning them off turrets.
True shot barrage. Wow, the Shy. That was about exactly how far he needed to move to avoid death.
At this point, they don't have to kill anybody. They do enough damage just through poke and the Karthus ultimate alone, forcing them to back to base and just reaping the rewards.
Yeah, might even be an Infernal Drake as well, as Kingzone now have an opportunity to even things up. That's called high rolling, my dude.
Where was this earlier?
Where was this Kingzone last year with the names
Exactly.
everyone knew? And that's the thing I want people to take away is, yes, the nameplate of Kingzone is familiar, but that's the team that famously couldn't make it to Worlds. The stacked roster, Nayan, Cuz, Rascal, two sub-players who had to watch on alongside Peanut and Khan last year, have really developed this year after a couple of hiccups recently. And Nayan, the player who was famous only for his losing streak, the longest losing streak of any player in history, has come along. He's done very decently against Rookie. Hasn't looked like a chump next to one of the best mid laners of all time. And this roster is looking so strong together, and they're one of those big hopes from Korea.
Well, Cuz now looking for level 16. He wants that Requiem button to be as buffed up as possible. That 50 damage nerf is feeling like not enough this game, as we saw that last Requiem was just tearing IG apart. True Shot Barrage also a bit of a problem here as Baolan doesn't get the Unbreakable. And Kingzone still have so much pressure despite Baron being off and up again in another 2 minutes as Deft. He's a one-man army. Naeon's there as well. Jackie Love 1 kill away from dead, and Deft is only moving forward. The rest of Kingzone are just cleaning things up.
The crowd here is losing their mind. Deft has no domestic MVPs. He hasn't won a single one this tournament, this year. And now he's coming in and he's dominating.
He's doing just ridiculous things to our world champions coming from 2018. Remember, guys, this is not an IG that you can mess with comfortably. They took down SKT in pretty considerable fashion in the group stage. This was considered the best team from the LPL, and Kingzone making them look silly, honestly, throughout the mid game and now moving into late.
There's nothing else you can say. They not only took down FPX on day one, the undefeated team in the LPL, but they're taking down the damn world champions in such quick fashion.
And IG have to fully engage. They can't get poked out like they have been. And that is their issue right now. Ever since the Baron, all their structures are exploding. Can IG find a miracle engage to try to punish KZ?
And the reality here is just based off the poke and the confidence of Deft alone, you don't even need these neutral objectives. Screw the Dragon. I guess the Baron is nice, but you can just literally walk up and start poking these guys down.
Yeah, and I just want to talk about what the wildcard factor is. And Deft has it, right? This game especially, he has turned expectations of team compositions completely on their head by making sure that whenever any team fight happens, there are at least 2 people on below half health, right? And it does just completely change how you have to look at a composition.
I think the word you're reaching for is class. Deft is one of the greatest AD carries of all time. He will have that however his career plays out from today. But the bigger surprise, Atlas, is the top side have been able to swell what was so much pressure from pick and ban, and then Deft is just doing way more damage than you could ever calculate. So it helps when the rest of the team is towing the line for Deft to just walk up and half health people with a single Q.
Ooh, I know that, Azir turret has its eyes on, the Ezreal right now.
You can understand why. It's Rookie getting taken down way too long. That last auto. Is Rookie going to survive this one? He has his stopwatch. I believe that's his Zhonya's now as Phosphorus Bomb doing some work. In goes Rascal into the backline, but the Emperor's Divide is good. Kuz manages to pick up that kill on the backline, and now Kingzone DragonX march forward. Kuz down to 300. The Shy eviscerated before anything can happen, and now the ultimate from Rascal. The ace from Kingzone, and that will be game number 1. LCK move up to 1-0.
And let me buy that book, put it on the internet. I'll order one, baby, because it's 25 stacks full. Jungchung Arena lose their mind as the world champions go down.
Unbelievable performance here from Kingzone DragonX. I don't think anyone on this desk expected this level of play from these guys, especially after the draft, because you have to say, you mentioned it earlier on, very early in this game, that if this had been an IG win, people would have been saying, oh, lost at draft, draft doesn't work. But the way Kingzone played around where their item spikes were and around where Deft playing like a god was, they were able to pick up the win, and it made the composition look genius.
No more excuses any longer. Game 1 that I talked about, them versus FPX, I zeroed in on the draft. This time around, I gave the draft over to Invictus Gaming. Look at Nahyun the entire time. Good reason. This is a performance you should feel proud of.
Absolutely amazing. What a transformation from this guy.
And for my whole career as an LCK caster, I could never talk them up because they were the champions. Of course they were going to win. But they've come from behind now. They are no longer a top 1, top 2, sometimes top 3 region, depending on who you talk about. For Kingzone to scout IG, to be chosen over SKT, who asked to play IG in the opening game, come in and have a plan like this, it didn't look that convincing on paper. It was a risky one with Asterisk left, right, and center. They were richer than the draft. They were better than we could assume. And Kingzone undefeated at Rift Rivals, I could never have expected.
The word that I use every time we have the relays coming through is momentum. And you can already see this, the faces of those players, especially going back into the locker room. This is real momentum coming in from the LCK side.
Because now you have to back it up, and it has to be FPX. You'd have to think, who is going to step up now that IG, the only undefeated team, has gone down? And what that means for the team order here is so interesting.
It changes everything. Remember, I said this yesterday too. For the LMS and BCS, you do not want to go down 0-2 and not show your best team. You don't want that pressure and momentum that heavily against them.
Absolutely amazing stuff. This is what the match looks like. And
really?
It was real even from the beginning, and then real not even after that.
Well, Deft's got his first MVP of summer. It's in the tournament where it doesn't count, but give him 100 points, give him a rage, another 100,000 on the salary. No worries.
Maybe this will echo into the LCK because of the amount of domination that he got.
But Atlas, Rift Rivals isn't for Worlds, but damn does a performance like this echo into the LCK.
Yes.
Kingzone walk taller. Rascal, Cousin, Naya, nobody yesterday, to even the Korean fans, are somebody today. And what that means for Kingzone, who are on a losing streak recently, cannot be understated.
And we always talk about the implications of Rift Rivals, right? And talk about the fact that it doesn't affect Worlds, it doesn't affect things like that. It has a huge effect in the LCK. Our teams that don't perform at Rift Rivals get so much flack from the fans, but if they're winning, then it's a completely different story, as we have G-Sun and Deft. So let's throw it over
the
to
finals,
the interview.
taking down IG and heading out 1-0. We have Deft from Kingzone DragonX. Congratulations. It was a very smooth start. How do you feel right now? No, as the starter of the LCK region, I think we relieved the pressure of the other teams within the region. And personally, having lost to IG in the last year's World Championship, which was very hard for me to take, hard pill for me to take. However, I feel relieved once again by taking them along. You know, you were the super ultra hyper carry as an Ezreal in this game, and you wanted to take vengeance on IG. Are you satisfied with your performance today? No, last year versus IG, I played too passively, and then I couldn't make my own plays. So for today, even if I would lose, I'm just gonna make my own plays, one play at a time, and I think that turned out very well. So as the first starter, you had to play versus IG. Was there a lot of pressure in regards to the matchup? No, when we heard this last night, you know, just to put some hyperbole in, I was about to cry because I was so joyful for playing against IG today. All right, please elaborate more on the process. How did Kingzone decided to start? No, when the coaches had their meetings, we, the players, asked the coaches to start first, and then they made the final decision. Can you say anything to your LCK brethren? No, I think we are the worst team out of the 4 representatives of LCK. So I believe that the other 3 teams will take the dubs and take the trophy home. That's it for the interview. We'll be back after a short break.